My sister cornered me during our parents' anniversary brunch and demanded, "You need to wire me that settlement. I have a storefront to save." I said, "Absolutely not," and my family treated me like I'd burned the house down. By dusk, my notifications were exploding because I was done playing savior. It was a $38,500 personal injury settlement. 2 years ago, a distracted driver shattered my collarbone, leaving me in physical therapy for 18 months. I missed career promotions, lived in a rigid sling, and fought for every dollar of that compensation. When the deposit hit my checking account on a Tuesday at 11:14 a.m., I wept on my sofa. Not out of greed, but because my chronic pain was finally acknowledged. I made the tragic mistake of telling my dad. He just stirred his coffee, muttered, "Must be nice to get a windfall," and changed the subject. In my family, my older sister Vanessa's ambition was fiercely celebrated, while my survival was considered an inconvenience. She was always on the verge of a retail business collapse, and somehow, her emergencies always became my financial responsibility. When my parents insisted I come to a waterfront restaurant for their anniversary, I knew it was an ambush. I arrived carrying a floral arrangement and a forced smile. We made small talk over crab cakes, but the air felt incredibly thick. After the main course was cleared, Vanessa dropped her fork and leaned across the tablecloth. "So, the lawyers finally paid out, huh?" I nodded cautiously. Vanessa smiled thinly. "Perfect. You can transfer the funds to my LLC by tomorrow. The boutique's new commercial rent is drowning me." I stared at her. "It's compensation for my broken bones, Vanessa." The table went dead silent. My mother wiped her mouth. "Vanessa is trying to build a lasting legacy," she scolded. "You're just sitting on a pile of unearned cash. Family steps up when things get hard." My dad pointed his knife directly at my chest. "Stop being so short-sighted." I felt the weight of their expectations trying to crush me. I placed my napkin on the table. "No," I said loudly. My dad slammed his fist down. "You have become ungrateful." I stood up and grabbed my wool coat. "My physical pain isn't your startup capital." They followed me out to the crowded valet stand. Vanessa laughed. "You're really ruining an anniversary dinner over a check?" I looked right at her. "You demanded the exact price of my suffering and called it loyalty." I pulled out my phone, opened my banking app, and located the $650 recurring monthly transfer I'd been sending her for inventory storage. I hit cancel. "What did you just do?" Vanessa shrieked as her phone buzzed. "I'm permanently resigning as your safety net," I told her, handing the valet my ticket. My mother cried out that I was destroying her daughter's dream. "Then she needs to build a better dream," I replied, driving away into the night. The next morning, I was finalizing an application for a new apartment downtown. At 2:30 p.m., the leasing agent called me. "We cannot approve your application. You have an active commercial eviction on your public record." My stomach bottomed out. I drove straight to the county courthouse and pulled the property records. There it was, a signed lease for a secondary warehouse space on the south side. The tenant name was mine. The signature at the bottom was a flawless forgery of my handwriting. Vanessa had dug through my old tax documents to secure an overflow space she couldn't afford, and now the angry landlord was suing for $14,000 in back rent. My family hadn't just expected my settlement. They desperately needed it to cover up her federal crime. I sat in my parked car, shaking, taking photos of every page. I didn't send a warning text. I drove to the precinct and filed a police report for severe identity theft and fraud. I handed the detective the court printouts and a stack of Vanessa's entitled text messages. When the subpoena hit Vanessa's boutique 3 days later, the family dynamic violently shifted. My parents showed up at my current apartment, pounding on the door, begging me to withdraw the charges. "She'll lose her entire business license." My dad yelled. I opened the door exactly 2 inches, leaving the chain locked. "She forged legal documents," I countered, my voice hollow. "You don't get to steal my legal identity and pretend it's just sisterly collaboration." Vanessa was forced to liquidate her entire shop to settle the fraud charges out of court. 6 months later, I used my settlement money to relocate to a new city. I unpacked my moving boxes in a beautiful apartment strictly in my name. The first night I slept there, my phone didn't ring with an emergency. I realized something profound in that quiet living room. If protecting my own future makes me the villain in their narrative, I am perfectly happy playing the bad guy.